it's Ray. Welcome to my channel where I talk about intentional living, literature, and make some peaceful, cozy vlogs along the way. This week is another of my weekly reading vlogs. In anticipation for my summer holidays, I made a ridiculously large pile of all the books that I wanted to read, and today I'm going to make a start on them. While I was still working, I tried to do this little challenge that I set myself where I read 100 pages every day for a week, and I completely was incapable of doing it because I just didn't have the time. However, now that I'm on holiday, I'm actually going to retry the challenge of reading 100 pages a day for a week, and possibly even extend it beyond that. We'll see how it goes, because I do have so many books that I want to get through. The first book that I'm going to start off with is The Memory of Love by Aminatta Forna. I do not know very much about this book at all, except for what I've read on the blurb. Aminatta Forna is a Sierra Leonean Scottish author, and in this book, as I understand it, she writes about a love affair which occurs in Sierra Leone, and then the civil war 30 years later, the repercussions of this love affair, and also what's happening amongst the staff at a hospital during the civil war. I feel like this is going to be quite an emotional read, and that's kind of what I'm in the mood for at the moment. I want a book that I can really throw myself into and really feel. So I'm going to enjoy reading some of this Saturday morning. Good afternoon, it's Monday. We had a really nice weekend, pretty chill, did some jobs, went to a Quaker meeting on Sunday morning, which is something that we quite often do here, and yeah, otherwise not very much to report, except that I do have a reading update because I have been doing a lot of reading. Tom says that there is such a thing as reading too much and that I do it, but I'm going to ignore him on that one. I've been reading The Memory of Love, as I showed you I was going to on Saturday morning. As you can see, I'm nearly finished, and this might lead you to think that I have really enjoyed this book and been hooked on it. Unfortunately, you would be wrong. I think it was at about probably slightly over the halfway point that it suddenly dawned on me that I was like, not only am I not really that into this book, I think I actually don't like it. And it was really sad because I really wanted to like it. Firstly, apologies for the rundown of it that I've given in my last couple of videos, which was based purely off me like absolutely skimming the blurb. And I definitely made a bit of an error because although the book is set around the Sierra Leonean Civil War, it basically doesn't include any of the war. So it's pretty much set like pre-war and post-war, and the war itself is barely discussed. And this is kind of the key point that the book is making, is it's looking at how the people who lived through the war have just had to put a complete block on that experience in order to be able to go on with living their lives normally, because otherwise it would be completely impossible to live. One of the main characters in this story is a British psychologist who's gone out to help people, and he's finding it really hard to apply all of the British psychological counselling, etc. sort of tools that he's learned. And the point as well is that like the entire country, the entire population is traumatised. How can you even begin to help people to handle and fix that trauma when there's just so many? That's like one of the points it's making, and something that I do think it's doing quite well. Things that I didn't like about this book. Number one, I do not like any of the characters. They're just all really horrible or side characters. There's like one person who I kind of feel a bit sorry for / I'm rooting for, but I still don't feel like I really know him well enough to have that much investment in him. Basically, I don't really have any investment in any of the characters, which means that all of the emotion that I thought I was going to feel in this book, and that according to the reviews that quoted on the back of it, other people apparently do feel, I'm just not feeling any of it. Number two, unbelievably male-centric. The women in this book honestly just come across as like objects for male desire, and I'm not a fan of that. Number 3, pet bugbear of mine is using the term love in the title of a novel which then does not portray anything that looks even slightly like love. All of the love which exists in this book is just like male desire, like all of it is. I was driving along the road, I saw this woman and I was really attracted to her. It was love at first sight. I just knew I had to get this woman, whatever it would take. Then proceed like pages and pages of being an obsessive weirdo and then calling that love. Yeah, not a fan. Also, I know I'm being really harsh, but the writing just feels so mediocre. Maybe it's because I've been reading some like incredibly stunning stuff lately. Lastly, this is like a personal disappointment of something that I was hoping to get out of the book that I completely and utterly haven't. It's some form of historical knowledge about the Sierra Leonean Civil War. And I know like I'm sure I need to do my own research and find out about it, but one way that I really enjoy learning about history is through historical fiction, because it just makes it so much more interesting to me and so much more kind of relevant and meaningful and something that I feel like I can understand. And so you kind of would hope when reading a book of this size, like this is over 400 pages, this book, that you would get a little bit of knowledge, but I have literally none, nothing, zero. So I'm really sorry to this book and this author, because I really wanted to love it, and I'm sure that other people will. I know other people do, but it just has not worked for me at all. So I'm gonna finish it. Oh, bookmark just fell out. I'm gonna finish it off today. That will be my 100 pages for today. But yeah, given that I'm about 50 pages from the end, I would be very surprised if this book manages to completely rescue itself, in my opinion. I will update you and let you know if that happens. That would be nice, but it seems unlikely. It's Tuesday. Welcome to my floor, which seems to be the only place in the house that I can actually find any light at the moment. It's dry season here, which I always imagined that dry season would mean that it would be really sunny and hot all the time, but that's actually not the case at all. Dry season is like continually cloudy and a lot cooler than wet season, and then wet season is like super glorious blue skies and sunshine interspersed with enormous tropical storms. So there's a fun fact for you if you didn't know that, which I definitely didn't before I moved here. But anyway, it just kind of means that the house is really dingy all the time, and I do not have high quality equipment for filming at all. And so I'm really sorry if the quality is quite bad and a lot of the stuff that I'm filming at the moment. I am trying my best. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon now. I spent today finishing off editing a video and getting that up this morning, and then I had a really nice long chat with one of my friends at lunchtime. The lunchtime phone call is one of my favourite things to come out of lockdown for me, because something that I was always really jealous of loads of people who had like normal, i.e. non-teaching jobs, was when they would meet up for lunch with their friends in coffee shops and stuff. And then when lockdown meant that we were teaching online, we were doing it initially completely asynchronous, so we would just like post stuff up to a platform for the children to do and then respond to it in our own time, and so I could structure the timings of my own day, which I absolutely loved. And one of the things that I started trying to do was to have a phone call chat with a friend at lunchtime in my attempt to replicate the like meeting up with a friend for lunch during your lunch break at work kind of thing. And yeah, I keep it up whenever I can. Just like such a nice boost in the middle of the day to spend time with a friend. So yeah, I did that. And did a load of admin stuff, and here we are. I'm about to start my reading for today. I can update you, I did finish Memory of Love yesterday. I did quite like the way that it ended after all, but it definitely didn't rescue the book for me. Like, I really didn't enjoy this one. I actually spent a bit of time this morning like browsing reviews on the internet, trying to work out what I was supposed to like in this and what I was supposed to get out of this. And if you do that when you read a book and don't enjoy it, and you kind of feel like it's you who's at fault rather than the book. I find Goodreads reviews a really interesting reminder of the fact that some books just really work for some people and really don't work for other people. Like basically every single book that's up on Goodreads has some 5-star reviews and some 1-star reviews and everything in between. I said when I picked it up I was really looking forward to an emotional read and something that I could like invest a lot of my own emotions in, and I didn't get that at all. Instead of trying another book, which I think is going to be sad, I'm just going to press pause on that desire for a moment and read something which I feel really confident that I'm going to enjoy, because I always feel quite sad after I've read a read that I genuinely didn't enjoy and it felt like a bit of a slog to get through.
So next up I'm going to read A Sky Painted Gold by Laura Wood. This is a YA historical romance fiction. It's Laura Wood's debut YA novel. I've read her other two and I absolutely adored them. Just like really lightweight, fun, but nicely written, comparable to kind of Eva Ibbotson, Dodie Smith, that sort of thing. This is a story of a young Cornish girl who gets swept up with a group of kind of Great Gatsby-esque people, I think, like really wealthy people with their parties and cocktails and generally like having fun, living the glamorous lifestyle. And it's about like all the relationships that she forms with them, staying true to herself, etc. So I am really looking forward to it, and I'm really, really hopeful that I will like it. I'll be very surprised if I don't, because I think that she has got quite a consistent style, Laura Wood, in her YA novels. I mean, if nothing else, they all have these like absolutely insanely gorgeous covers, and all I can say is that the other two novels have actually lived up to their cover. And looking at that, you know, if a novel can live up to this cover, it's a good one. So yeah, I'm going to read this one next. Also, for my 100 pages a day, 100 pages actually turns out to be probably about 3 hours worth of reading for me, which is quite a lot, or it did when I was reading The Memory of Love. But Memory of Love is, I mean, not crazy small print, but fairly small, and it was just quite dense, and it also was quite dull. And so this was quite hard to wade through, whereas it will be quite nice, I think, to whiz through something that's a bit more, you know, a bit more easy to read through, and hopefully something that I'll kind of fly through and enjoy. So that's what I'm going to be reading my 100 pages of today. I also have another couple of reading updates. I've got a lot of audiobook listening that I really want to get done today and tomorrow. Tomorrow is the 30th of June, i.e. the end of the month, and so far this month, the only novels that I've read are 4 novels by Jeanette Oake, which were these like historical fiction with a Christian streak audiobooks that I listened to earlier on in the month when I was still at work, and I really wanted just something easy and nice to listen to in the background. I had very mixed feelings about them, and I'm going to review them properly when I do my wrap-up of the month, but I really don't feel like I can do a wrap-up where I just talk about those 4 novels and The Memory of Love. It's going to be quite a negative wrap-up if I do that. Also, one of the books I really, really need to read, because I'm literally losing it tomorrow, that's The Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois, and I've been listening to this on Audible Stories, which I've absolutely loved for the last year and a half or so. It's been a place where you could get a range of Audible books for free, and you could just listen to them and like stream them on the internet. But what I hadn't really realised is that Audible basically provided it as a free service due to lockdown. It was always aimed as being something that was aimed at children, but it had an absolute ton of classic literature on there as well, so I've listened to a lot of stuff on that. But when I logged on this month, it said that the 30th of June is going to be the last day that the website's open, then it's closing because, you know, I guess things are opening up now and they want people to pay for an Audible subscription, which I do also have. But yeah, I need to finish listening to The Souls of Black Folk. I'm about halfway through and I'm absolutely loving it. It's a series of essays about the state of the nation, basically, of America in the very early 1900s, obviously with a focus on the lived experience of people of colour. And W.E.B. Du Bois is just like an incredibly intelligent and sensitive voice who's a beautiful writer, and I'm absolutely loving it. I'm so in awe both of his work and of his personality. It's actually really reminding me of The Grapes of Wrath. I feel like what it's really effectively illustrating, in a very similar way to the way that Grapes of Wrath does, is just how completely unjust and verging on hypocritical, or at the very least evil, the kind of capitalist system of America is, and particularly with regard to the poor, in this case with a real focus on race. It just highlights how the system leaves them completely and utterly helpless. And what I find absolutely incredible about the way that Du Bois does this is that he does it with such a lot of compassion for all of the people who are in the system. Again, very similar to Grapes of Wrath, is really this notion that like a system is ruining people's lives rather than individual people. So yeah, I need to do a lot of listening on that to finish that by tomorrow before it disappears. I'm gonna go and read outside because the fact that it's quite cloudy is actually like contrary to everything that I instinctively feel having grown up in the UK. It's actually a good thing. It means that the temperature is a nice temperature in which to be outside rather than when the sun is completely shining and it's just unbearably hot. So I'm gonna go enjoy a little bit of reading outside in the comparative cool and hopefully really enjoy making a start on A Sky Painted Gold. It's Thursday, and the exciting thing that I'm going to do today is get my second COVID vaccine, so that's really, well, not fun, but good. And then I have a load of other little like jobs I'm gonna do just while I'm out and about in the car, because like pretty much everything is in the same area. So I need to get some more drinking water, need to get some fruit and veg, need to get some bread. One of the things about living in Congo is that there's not really any kind of big supermarket that you can get absolutely everything that you want from, and so we sort of do all of our shopping in little bits and pieces at different places, which is a bit inconvenient but also kind of nice. Yeah, so I'll bring you along for that, and also for, I guess, some of the jab. I have my lovely book with me to keep me company, because I know there will be a bit of waiting around either beforehand or certainly afterwards. They do this like 15-minute observation thing here after you've been vaccinated to check that you don't, I don't know, faint or something. So yeah, off we go. Hello, good evening. Looking a bit rough, which is probably quite accurate because I feel like I'm starting to react to the COVID vaccine a bit again, which is annoying. I had like a super bad reaction to the first one. I was like up all night with shaking, with fever and shivering and stuff. But I had been told that if you had a bad reaction to the first one, then you normally didn't also get a bad reaction to the second one. I don't feel as bad yet, but I have like pretty much almost directly since I had it, I've been feeling kind of sick and just like tired and achy and not 100%, so we'll see how tonight goes. Sure, it'll be absolutely fine, just gotta get through the next 24 hours or so. Today's been a bit of a funny old day. I haven't really got much reading done at all. This morning got completely swallowed up by, you know, sometimes in life when you try and do a little like lifeman thing that shouldn't take very long at all. I had like a few documents that I needed to find and email to somebody basically, and I'd assigned about half an hour to it. I thought it was going to take me about half an hour. Started at 7:30 in the morning and I finished at like 11:30 or 12. Basically it took me like half the day, and then I spent the other half of the day doing little errands and COVID-y stuff. So the day has gone. It always amazes me how quickly time can fly by. I'm going to get to sleep in a moment. I'm actually like, I look forward to going to bed so much every night, because even though I've been reading my normal books during the day, I do like to read my Kindle in bed because I can put the backlight on, and so I can read like even after we've turned the lights out, just until I fall asleep. And I'm reading Gormenghast still. I don't tend to read more than like a few pages before I get too tired and fall asleep. But yeah, it's so wonderful. It's such a delight. It's like having a little rich chocolate at the end of the day to just read a few pages of it. The writing is just exquisite. I know I've banged on about it a lot lately, but yeah, enjoying that. So I'll see you tomorrow for the last day of this weekly vlog. Good night. Didn't really work, did it? Hi, it's Friday and the sun is shining, which is lovely. Also, you'll be pleased to hear that my worries yesterday about having another bad reaction to the vaccine were very overhyped. I am absolutely fine. I had a really good night's sleep and I feel totally fine this morning, so I guess I just felt a little bit like woozy after I initially had it. But yeah, feeling totally fine, so that's nice. I have finished
A Sky Painted Gold this morning, and I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. 5 stars. Everything that I hoped that it was going to be. I honestly feel like the best way to describe this book is the kind of book that you would expect it to be from the cover. It's a great Gatsby-inspired historical fiction, summer romance set on the coast of Cornwall, and it's really nicely written, and it was just such a delight. Like, I was so gripped by the plot. I really loved all the characters. Books like this just are so full of the joy of reading and really remind me why reading is one of my favourite hobbies of all time. And it was so nice to read this after The Memory of Love, because when I read something and really don't like it, I always feel like maybe the problem's with me, maybe I don't enjoy reading so much anymore, maybe I'm going off reading, I don't know, silly thoughts like that. And then you read something that's just a book that's really well suited to you as a reader, and it reminds you why reading is wonderful. I've now sadly read all of Laura Wood's 3 young adult books, which is a shame because I could just breeze my way through as many of these as she ever wanted to write. And honestly, having read all 3 of them, I can now see that there is kind of a formula to her plot structure in each of her books. It's quite similar, but I actually think that's quite nice. Like, sometimes you want a book with a formulaic plot where you know what you're getting into. She also has some kind of recurrent themes, which I just think are really nice. One of them being sort of finding your people. The characters always start off having lived quite a sheltered life, in the way that you do as a child, really, without knowing that many people, and then they get introduced to like a new group of people who are slightly older than them, who are generally quite kind and welcoming, and these people just kind of like script them in a positive way and make them realise the gifts and the talents that they have to offer, and show them how much fun and excitement the world can be. And yeah, just really gorgeous, really loved it. I almost feel like I could go back to page 1 and reread the whole thing again. Such a nice way to end the week and a nice way to end my reading month. Also, I forgot to mention yesterday that I did finish on Wednesday The Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois before Audible Stories closed, and that too was wonderful. Really beautifully written essays, really poignant, really intelligent. I'm super glad that I read them. It was actually quite interesting for me to read them now, because when I was doing my A-levels, so when I was I think like 16 years old, I wrote an essay on W.E.B. Du Bois, and I got The Souls of Black Folk out of the library to read it as kind of like extra reading for myself. And I remember I just couldn't understand it. Like, I had to take it back because I didn't get it at all. And it really made me realise that I've grown as a reader, which was a nice thing. I mean, one would hope that you can grow as a reader between the age of 16 and the age of 29, but it's nice when you occasionally get little signs that you actually have. So yeah, the week started really badly but ended really well with some nice books. I'm glad about that. I hope that you've enjoyed coming along on my reading journey for this week. Let me know any good books that you're reading in the comments down below, and I'll see you very soon in another video. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.